Hello, everybody. I got 2 book suggestions in my comments, and I went to look at them. I got both that you guys suggested. The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. I did Volume 0 because apparently there's a Volume 0, and usually if that happens, it's best to do that because then you'll get then you're not completely lost. And Grimgar, Fantasy, and Ash. Let's actually do this one first. I don't know why. Let's just do this one first. Is this, okay. Okay. Awaken. Why is it just this? He opened his eyes, feeling like he'd heard someone's voice. It was dark. Nighttime, maybe? But not pitch black. There were lights, fire. Above him, some kind of lighting. Candles, it looked like. Small ones affixed to the wall. Not just one, but many, spaced evenly, continuing as far as he could see. I should have said this from the beginning, but starting in May, they're apparently going to be adding automatic mid-roll ads, and you could manually place that or turn that on. And I looked at some of them first, and as a bookworm, I turned it on, and so many fucking ads that it essentially made the video almost unplayable at points. So I turned some of them off. So if there ends up being a ton of ads in some of these videos, I really apologize. It's not my doing. It's YouTube. So just as a future warning for starting in May. Because, yeah. It just is a fair warning. So it's not me, it's stupid YouTube doing that. Where was this place? It was kind of hard to breathe. When he tried touching the wall, it was hard and rocky. This was no wall, it was just bare rock. Little wonder his back was sore after lying against it. His butt hurt too. Maybe he was in a cave. A cave? Why would he be in a cave? Those candles were pretty much high up. He might be able to reach one if he stood. That was how high they were. Moreover, they didn't even give off enough light for him to see his hands and feet. But he sensed the presence of others nearby. When he listened closely, there was a faint noise that sounded like breathing. Humans? What if they weren't? He might be in trouble. But they sounded human somehow. Is anyone there? He asked hesitantly. Yeah. A man's voice shot back. I'm here, came another response, likely that of a woman. Another man's voice gave a short, yeah. I figured as much, another person added. How many of us are there? Should we count? And where are we anyway? Dunno. What? Doesn't anyone know where we are? What's going on? What is this? Seriously, what the hell was this? What was he doing in a place like this? And why? How long had he been here? That is a good question. All very good questions. He clutched at his chest tightly as if trying to claw something off of it. He had no clue what was going on. How long had he been here? Why was he here? When he began to consider his situation, something began to tug at the back of his mind, but it suddenly vanished before he could latch onto it. He didn't know. He didn't know anything. He was at a complete loss. Sitting here won't solve anything, said one man in a low, husky voice. There was a sound like someone stepping on pebbles. It sounded like the man had stood up. Going anywhere? A woman's voice asked. Following the wall, the man answered, going to try heading toward the light. The man's tone was surprisingly calm. Wasn't he scared? Why wasn't he shaken up by this? I mean, to be fair, panicking is not going to help. It's just going to make it worse. And depending on where y'all are at, it could very well be very bad. If they're, like, stuck in a landslide area and they start panicking, that could make it worse. Especially if there's not a whole lot of air, because he said it was hard to breathe. So, panicking is not a smart idea anyway. No matter actually where they are. The man was now beneath the second candle from him, and he seemed very tall. He could make out a bit of the man's head in the candlelight. The man's hair wasn't black. Was it silver? I'm going too, the woman said. Me too, I guess, the man's voice said. Hold on, guys. I'm coming too, then, called another man. There's this other direction, too, said yet another person. The voice sounded slightly high-pitched, but it was probably another male. We could probably go that way. There's no candles, though. The silver-haired man said, if you want to go that way, be my guest, and started walking. It looked like everyone would be following the silver-haired man. I had better go too, then, he thought. He stood up hurriedly, not wanting to be left alone. He nervously stepped forward, keeping a hand on the rock wall. The ground wasn't smooth. It was uneven but easy enough to walk on. There was someone in front of him and someone behind. He didn't know who, though. Judging by their voices, nobody here was all that old. I don't know any of these people. At least I don't think so, he thought. Who were the people he knew? Acquaintances? Friends? But just exactly who were they? Strange. He couldn't think of anyone. No, it was more like whenever he tried to work backwards from the faces that did come to mind, they would suddenly vanish. Was his memory wiped? Of anybody he was close to? Or maybe we'll figure this out. He didn't know. It didn't just happen with just friends, family too. It wasn't that he didn't know them at all. It was more that he ought to have known them, but he was forgetting. Yeah, whoever brought all these people here probably wiped their memories of, their past lives. Or, their lives in whatever world they came from, essentially. That's what I'm guessing. Maybe it's best not to think about it, he said out loud. Did you? Asked a voice from behind, definitely a young girl's voice. Did you say something? No, it was nothing. He stopped. Nothing important? Really? Nothing important? How was it not important? He shook his head to clear it. At some point, he seemed to have stopped walking. I should continue on, he thought. He needed to keep walking. It was better not to think about it. The more he tried to remember, the less he felt like he knew. The row of candles continued. There was no end in sight. How long had he been walking? Had he walked a long way or not? He couldn't say which. His sense of time and space had become dulled. There's something here, said someone up ahead. It's bright. There are lamps? A silver-haired man said, It's an iron grate. Do you think it's the exit? Exclaimed a different man, his voice shrill and excited. The sound of the heavy footfalls lightened. Even in the dark, he could tell that everyone was running ahead. He could see the light sources now. They were much brighter than the candles had been. There were definitely lamps. Were they hanging on the wall? The lamps were illuminating what looked like an iron grate. The silver-haired man grabbed the iron grate. Not only was his hair silver, the man was dressed like a gangster. Huh? He shook the iron grate violently like a gangster would and began to... What the fuck do you mean like a gangster would? What the hell? And it began to move. I'm opening it. Why the fuck are you calling this guy a gangster? Like, what constitutes a gangster? Like, seriously. The gangster called, pulling the grate inwards. With a creaking noise, the iron grate door opened. Oh, several people cried out at the same time. Can we get out? Exclaimed a woman dressed in flashy clothes who was standing behind the gangster. Why? Oh, whatever. The gangster headed through the door. There are stairs. We can go up. Through the door was a cramped, moldy corridor. Beyond that, there were stone steps. There were no lights, but light was shining down from above. The group ascended the stairs in single file, one step at a time. There was another iron grate at the top of the stairs. This one looked like it wouldn't open. The gangster bashed the grate with his fist over and over again. Is nobody there? Open the door, the gangster roared like a beast. What the fuck? The flashy woman joined in, shouting, Hey, someone, anyone, open up. From behind them, a guy with curly hair shouted, Hey, open the door! Hey! They didn't have to wait long. The gangster took his hand off the grate and stepped back. Apparently someone had come. The flashy woman and guy with curly hair went quiet, and there was the sound of a lock turning. The iron grate opened, and a man's voice said, Get out. He assumed the voice belonged to the man who had unlocked and opened the door. They ascended the stairs, and there was a stone room. It was windowless, but brightly lit thanks to the lamps. In addition to the stairs they had come up, there was another set of stairs going up to a higher level. The whole place feels too old, like it doesn't belong in the modern world. The man who opened the gate is dressed weirdly too. I mean, those aren't clothes he's wearing. That metal stuff he's wearing is armor? I'd call that headgear he has on an armored helmet too. And an object hanging from his waist, it doesn't look like a nightstick. Was it a sword? Or something similar. Armor, a helmet, and a sword. What era did this guy come from? Then again, I guess that's not the problem here. So what era y'all are in right now is the problem. The men in armor pulled a blackish switch on the wall. The wall and floor shook slightly, and a heavy sound echoed through the room. The wall moved. It opened. Part of the wall slowly opened. It sank down, leaving a hole, an oblong, rectangular hole. The man in armor simply said, Get out, again, gesturing toward the hole with his chin. The gangster went outside first, and the flashy woman followed. Everyone followed after them, going through the hole one after another, as if being pulled along. Outside. This time they were really outside. It was either pre-dawn or twilight. The dimly lit sky spread out as far as the eye could see. This was the top of a small hill. When they turned around, a large tower rose in front of them. They had been inside that tower, or perhaps it would be more accurate to say beneath it. Counting everyone in the group, there were 8 males, including Gangster, Curly, and himself, and 4 females, including Flashy, 12 in total. It was dark, so he couldn't see that much detail. Still, he could make out their figures, roughly what they were wearing, hairstyles, and general facial features. As he had thought, he didn't recognize any. I mean, technically, if you guys are in another world, that might not be your original appearances. It might actually be people you know, you just can't tell because their appearances changed. "You think that's a city?" asked a slender man with silky hair. He was pointing to the other side of the hill. Looking in that direction, he could see buildings crowded together. A town. It certainly looked like one. It had to be a town, except that the town was surrounded by a high fence. No, not a fence. It was surrounded by high, solid walls. "Rather than a town," said a thin man wearing black-rimmed glasses. "It's almost like a castle." "A castle," he whispered, but for some reason his own voice sounded like someone else's. A petite girl behind him timidly asked, "Where is this, do you think?" Look, asking me isn't going to help. Right, of course. Does anyone know? Where is this place? Why didn't you guys ask the guy who would let you out? I mean, certainly someone would have asked him, "Hey, where are we?" But I guess maybe he did. He didn't. He's just told them to get out. I don't know. No one said anything, unless they were deliberately trying to trouble the girl or were concealing the information for some other reason. That meant none of them had any idea. Curly scratched at his curly hair and said, "Seriously?" "I've got it," said a man who looked like a playboy, clapping his hands together. He wore a bordered cut-and-sew outfit. "Why don't we just ask that dude? You know, the one who was like," that's what I'm saying, in the armor or whatever. Everyone turned to look at the tower, and then it happened. The entrance began to shrink. The wall rose up again, filling in the hole. Whoa, wait! Playboy made a panicked run for it. He was too late. The entrance vanished, leaving the spot where it had once been indistinguishable from the surrounding wall. Playboy tried touching and hitting the wall in all sorts of places while crying out things like, "Oh, come on, you can't be doing this! Wait, stop it, please, man!" But nothing happened. After a while, Playboy sat down dejected. "Well, this is a problem," said a girl with her long hair and 2 braids. She said the word problem with a funny accent. "You said it," replied Curly Hair, crouching down and hanging his head. "Seriously? Seriously?" And now with that perfect timing, a high-pitched woman's voice rang out. "Wait, who?" There were 4 girls in their group. Flashy, the one with braids, the petite and timid one, and an even tinier girl who had to be shorter than 150 centimeters. How big is that again? Let me look real quick. 150 centimeters. $150, huh? Let's go with inches. 59 inches. 12 inches in a foot. 4'11". Oh dear God, that's short. That's an inch shorter than me. I don't know why the heck it was saying yards and a bunch of feet. It was like, I don't know what the fuck it was saying. The high-pitched voice didn't sound like it belonged to Flashy, Braids, or Timid. It probably wasn't Tiny's voice either. "I appear, I take the stage, Where am I? I'm right here." "Right where?" cried Playboy, standing up and shouting. "Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. But still, don't relax." What the fuck are you doing? Don't pull out your hair either. Singing something like... I'm not even going to try to say that. A woman poked her head out from the side of the tower where she had apparently been hiding. Is her hairstyle what they call twin tails, he wondered? "Hey, is anyone feeling fine? Welcome to Grimgar. I'm your guide, Hyomu. Nice to meet you. Let's get along." Kiapi? What the fuck? I swear to God, I'm going to lose my mind. A man with a buzz cut ground his teeth lightly. "What an annoying speech style," he muttered. "I agree." Eek! Hyomu ducked her head back into the tower, but soon stuck it out again. "You're so scary, so dangerous. Don't get so mad. Okay? Okay? Buzzcut clicked his tongue in distaste. Then don't piss me off. Yes, sirree! Hiyomu hopped out next to the tower, raising her hand in a salute. I'll be careful from now on, sir. I'll be real careful, sir. Is this okay? It's okay, right? Oh, God, you're doing that on purpose, are you? I swear to God, I think she is. Oh, you could tell? Don't get mad. Don't punch me. What the fuck? Don't punch me. Don't kick me. I don't like being hurt. Generally, I want you to be nice to me. Anyway, is it okay if I move things along now? Can I do my job now? Hurry it up, said Gangster in a low voice. Unlike Buzzcut, he didn't look openly agitated. Still, his tone was intimidating. Why don't you guys ask your names? So you don't have to refer to them by this. Alright then, Hiyomu began with a grin. I'm gonna do my job now, okay? The sky was getting brighter by the moment. It was much brighter now than it had been earlier, which meant it must be morning, not dusk. The dawn was breaking. For now, just follow after me, and don't get left behind. Hiyomu started to walk, her twin tails swaying behind her. Looking around, they saw a path from the tower leading down the hill. Grass fields spread out on both sides of a dark path of exposed earth that had been hardened with use, and there was a large white stone scattered around the grass that covered the hill. A whole lot of them. Too many. It looked almost like they were in orderly rows. It was as if someone had lined them up. Hey, are those... Curly asked, pointing at the white stones. Could they be graves? He shuddered. Speaking of which, he noticed some sort of writing carved into them. Flowers had been placed in front of some as well. Yep, it's a graveyard. Could this be a graveyard? At the head of the group, Hiyomu giggled without turning around. I wonder... Well, don't you worry about that now. Don't worry. It's too soon for any of you. I hope it's too soon for any of you. Oh my God. Buzzcut clicked his tongue in distaste again, kicking the dirt. He seemed pretty ticked off, but it looked like he still planned to follow Hiyomu for now. I swear, once y'all get situated, ask each other your names. So at the very least, maybe we can get an idea of who's who. Gangster had already started walking. Glasses, flashy and tiny, followed him. Playboy shouted, "Whoa! Me too, me too, me too!" and began chasing after them, then tripped. It looked like there was no chance but to go along, but where was Hiyomu planning to take them? Where was this place? He sighed, looking up to the sky. Ah, what was that? It was pretty low in the sky. It couldn't be the sun. It was too big to be a star, though. It wasn't even a full circle anyway. Its shape was somewhere between a half and a crescent moon. Did that mean it was the moon, then? That'd be a weird moon, though. It's red, he said out loud. He blinked, taking another look at it. No matter how many times he looked, it was still ruby red. Behind him, Timid gulped audibly. He had turned around to see she was gazing at the moon as well. Ah, said Bright, she seemed to notice it too. She blinked repeatedly, then chuckled. Mr. Moon is red. That's super pretty. The man with silky hair looked up at the red moon hanging in the dawn sky, standing still with an absent look on his face. Carla said, "Whoa," with a wide-eyed stare. An excessively large but seemingly quiet man let out a low groan. He didn't know where this was. Where had he come from? How had he gotten here? He didn't know those things either. Yep, your memories have been wiped. You probably don't even know your names. That's actually why, probably. He couldn't recall, but there was just one thing he was certain of. The moon in that other place wasn't red. A red moon was just weird. Hang on. 19 minutes. Let's continue. All these things we don't know. Wonder what this is. In some parts of the town, the streets were lined with stone buildings, while in others there was nothing but wooden ones. The cobblestone street twisted and turned, making it hard to see far ahead. Next to the wide road, there was an aqueduct with water flowing through it that was mostly pure. At times, there was a foul odor likely of excrement, but as they walked onwards, it stopped bothering them. Hiyomu led the group of 12 men and women into the town beyond the hill. From what she had said, this town was called Alterna. There were people living here, as might be expected from something called a town, and though it was early morning, they passed no small number of people who seemed to be residents. The residents all stared at the 12 as if they were an unusual sight. Well, I mean, yeah. But as the 12 found themselves staring right back, after all, the people were all dressed weirdly. But I mean, to them, you guys are dressed weirdly. Wait, weird how? Compared to the 12, their clothes were simple and shabby, not showy at all. So, like, this place started Playboy. Is it, like, you know, a foreign country or something? Curly turned his head trying to come up with an answer. A foreign country? A country? Come to think of it, what nationality am I, anyway? Yep, y'all can't remember. Huh? Weird, I can't remember. Actually, I can't remember my address and such either. Huh. What, you hadn't noticed? Gangster had said in a low voice. My name is all about all I still know. Thank you! So at least we can maybe find out their names. The phrase still know caught his attention. It probably meant something different than just not having known at all. Maybe Gangster had been hit with that feeling of trying to trace his memories back only to feel them vanishing too. Okay, here we go. We might actually get some names here. My name, Curly thumped his chest. My name is Ronta. Other than that, yeah, no clue. Whoa, seriously? I've got memory disappearance. I think you mean he broke it without meaning to, and then immediately regretted it. Still, he couldn't very well stop now. Memory loss, right? Listen, buddy, Curly said with a sigh. If you're going to be the smart guy, can't you do it better? It requires a certain spirit, you know. When you half-ass it like that, it's awkward for me as the guy playing the fool for you. It kills the mood. Whatever. I'll overlook it this time, so who are you? You'll overlook it? In what way had Ronta been playing the fool? Yeah, I'm confused too. What a horrible attempt at humor. He wasn't fully convinced, but a name. What was his own name? I'm Haruhiro, I think. Curly, aka Ronta, made an exaggerated tripping gesture like a pratfall. You think? Hold on, buddy. You don't even know your own name? Okay, I know we're talking about how my name's all I know, but this guy's pretty amazing, Haruhiro thought, glancing over at Gangster, who was walking behind Hiyomu. He wondered what Gangster's name was. He kind of wanted to ask, but he was too scared of the man. Though he didn't intend it as a replacement for asking Gangster, but turned to the slender man with silky hair and asked, How about you? Oh, replied Soki with a smile. He was a rather eloquent man. I'm Minato. Do you mind if I call you Haruhiro? No honorifics or anything? Oh, sure, that's fine. Then can I just call you Minato for Minato too? I'm fine with that, of course. When Minato smiled at him, he couldn't help but smile too. He looks like a good guy. I could probably trust him, he thought. Ronta was annoying, Gangster scared him, and Buzzcut had a scary face. Flashy felt like she came from a world far removed from his, and it was hard to approach an intelligent-looking guy like glasses, braids, timid, and tiny. What about these three girls? Timid, he had talked to a little already, and she was close by. He figured he'd at least try to get her name, but when it came to actually asking, he was a bundle of nerves. Haruhiro cleared his throat. Hey. Yes? No, it's not anything important, but, I'm, I think how to pronounce this. Kitkawa, yeah. Playboy suddenly exclaimed, striking a weird pose. Hey, forget the guys, let's hear from the ladies. You want to shoot off some introductions or not? Braid shook her head, not. No way! Playboy, aka Kikawa, that's going to be the hardest one to pronounce for me anyway, at least. Looked pathetically shot down. Wow. Haruhiro couldn't help but feel a little gleeful. Still, Kikawa's attempt had given him the momentum he needed. Haruhiro tried to ask as straight as he could. What's your name? It'd be easier to address you if we knew. Well, compared to us not knowing, at least. Timid looked down, pulling at her bangs. Was she trying to hide her face? Her eyes, nose, and lips were modest, but she was pretty cute. There was nothing she needed to hide, at least. I'm Shihoru. That's my name. I mean, more or less. Sorry. No, you don't need to apologize. Sorry, it's a habit. I'm sorry, I'll try not to. Shihoru was trembling like a newborn fawn. Was this girl going to be okay? He was worried just looking at her. It stimulated a protective instinct in him. You're a big guy, said Minato, who was talking to the gentle giant. How tall are you? Huh? Said the big man, blinking absently. My height? I'm 160 centimeters. 160, Ronta interjected. That's smaller than me, the guy who's a self-proclaimed 170 centimeters, you know. Okay, so, 150 centimeters is 4'11". So 160 is like 5'5", and I guess 170 is like over 6 foot. Okay. Almost 6 foot at least. I got it wrong. It was 180, 86, around there I think. My name is Moguso, probably. Give me 10 of your centimeters right now, Moguso, Ronta demanded, jabbing Moguso in the chest as if that was possible. If I get 10 centimeters from you, I'll be 178. You'll be 176. What a turnaround. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? If I could give them to you, replied Moguso. Hold on. Haruhiro could only curse himself as he started to correct Ronta again. In that case, your height isn't over 170. You're really 168. Oh, shut up. Sorry. You look like you're about the same height as me anyway. I'm just barely 170. You're a piece of work, you know that? You're a fiend who discriminates against people over a measly 2 centimeters. This guy is such a pain, Haruhiro muttered. Huh? I didn't hear you quite right. Did you say something? You did, didn't you? You said something. Nothing. I didn't say a thing, honest. You liar. What the fuck? You lying, perverted, deviant bastard. Don't underestimate my devilishly good hearing. This is what you said. You and your natural curls can go to hell, you bastard. I seriously did not say that. Okay, yeah, where did that come from? He didn't say that. You called me curly. That's the one thing you can't call me. That word is banned. Damn it. He called you curly because he didn't know your name, and that was the thing that stood out to him, essentially. So that's why what the fuck? Yeah, and I didn't say it. Listen when people are talking. I was listening so well. I got calluses on my ears. Anyway, I don't forgive anyone who calls me curly. You do realize that's the... Well, it's like I said, the main thing he took notice of when it came to you. Until he knew your name, that was how he had to address you. Hello? What did you think of when you saw him? That's an executable offense. Don't you forget it. Curly gangster turned around and said, You're annoying. Shut up. Yes, sir. He's scared of him, too. Said Curly, a.k.a. Ronta, in a tiny voice. Sorry, I'll shut up now. Haruhiro shrugged. Weren't you never going to forgive that? You moron, Ronta said quietly. I'm a guy who chooses the right time and place. They call me Master Choice. I'm going to be the Decision King. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. I'll become a king of discernment, not detergent, discernment. The Decision King, that's what I'll be. Curly gangster stopped and turned around again. Shut up. I don't blame him for doing that. I'd tell him to shut up too. Eek. Ronta quickly did a jumping kowtow. I'm sorry. Rather than the king of decision, Haruhiro said, looking down at Ronta, why not become the king of kowtows instead? That's it. Ronta raised his head and snapped his fingers. Wait, no, that's not it. Being the king of kowtows would be way too lame, no matter how high my kowtow skill is. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Curly, gangster sounded ready to kill him. This is the 3rd time. Eek. Ronta did another kowtow, rubbing his forehead on the cobblestones. I'm sorry, won't happen again. Forgive me, please. Then shut up. He's telling you to shut up, which means zip it. Quiet down. Be quiet. Zip it. This guy's already the king of kowtows, thought Haruhiro, but he decided not to say so. If he said anything, they'd probably just start arguing again, and that would be a pain. After that, they continued on in silence until Hiyomu stopped in front of a 2-story stone building. The building was flying a flag with a red crescent moon on a white field. There was a sign out front as well. On the sign it said, Altered Fronter Arm Volter Solders Cops Redmon, which seemed weird. On closer inspection, many of the letters had lost their color or peeled off. Does that mean Alternate Frontier Armed Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Moon? Ta-da, said Hiyomu, pointing at the sign. We've finally arrived. Yes, we have. Here it is. The office of the famous... Okay, here we go. The famous Volunteer Soldiers Corps of the Alterna Frontier Army. Red Moon. That's almost what I got. Haruhiro whispered Red Moon and looked at the sign again. It made sense now if you read it with the missing bits. It didn't say Alterna Frontier Army Volunteer Soldiers Corps Red Moon. Come in, Hiyomu gestured into a large room that was like a beer hall, with tables and chairs scattered around, and at the back, a counter. Behind the counter was a man with his arms crossed. Haruhiro, the others, and Hiyomu were the only other people there. Well, that's it for me, Hiyomu said with a bow to the man behind the counter. I know I do this every time, but give them the rundown. K. Bree-chan? The man she called Bree-chan gave a light radio in response and waved goodbye to her with his arms still crossed. For some reason, he shook his hips as well as waving his hand. I'm leaving now. Bye-bye, Hiyomu said as she left. Once she closed the door behind her, a strange tension spread through the room. Yeah, because this is awkward. Luckily, because Bree-chan was closely examining Haruhiro and the others, that must have been it. After all, Bree-chan looked pretty suspicious. Way too suspicious. Bree-chan bent over, resting both elbows on the counter, and rested his chin on top of his clasped hands. It was a cleft chin. But, well, that detail didn't matter so much because it was his hair color that set off warning flags. It was green. On top of that, he must have had lipstick or something on because his lips were black. He had pale blue eyes surrounded by long, thick lashes, and though their color was beautiful, that only made him more terrifying. It seemed like he'd used rouge on his cheeks, too. He had thick makeup overall, even though, no matter how you looked at him, Bree-chan was a guy. Ah, cross-dresser. Okay. Or is he, oh god. It's either he's a cross-dresser, he's trans, or maybe another thing, because I don't even know at this point. I don't know. He nodded to himself a number of times and stood up. Very nice. Come here, my little kittens. What the fuck? Welcome. I'm Brittany. I'm the chief and host here at the office of Red Moon, the volunteer soldier corps of the Alternative Frontier Army. You can call me Chief, but Bree-chan is fine too. Though, if you do call me that, make sure you say it with lots of love, okay? This guy's a fruit. I can kind of tell just by the way he speaks. Okay. Let's see. Where have I gotten? 32 minutes. Okay. Chief, a gangster walked straight up to the counter, cocking his head to one side. Answer my questions. I know that this town is called the Alterna, but what is this Frontier Army and Volunteer Soldier Corps stuff about? Why am I here? Do you know? You've got spunk, Bree-chan said with a chuckle. I've got a thing for boys like you. What's your name? It's Renji, and I hate... Oh, God. I'm just gonna say gays. Just because I don't want to say that word. Like you. Oh, do you now? For a moment, Haruhiro wasn't sure what Bree-chan had done. His movements had been not only fast, but smooth and all too natural. Renji, let me give you a tip. Bree-chan... Oh, he was fast! Pressed the knife against Renji's throat, his eyes narrowing threateningly. Nobody who calls me that word lives for long. You look like a clever boy. I think you catch my meaning, or do you want to try it again? Well... Renji said. Haruhiro gulped. Renji seized the knife's blade with his bare hand. Though he had the blade fixed in place with his palm and fingers, there was blood dripping from the base of his thumb. I never wanted a long life, and I don't care to give in to threats, he said. If you think you can take me, do it. Oh, God. This guy's gonna get his butt kicked. I'm just gonna say Chief. I'm just saying the word. In due time, Bree-chan replied, licking his lips and stroking Renji's cheek. I'll take... No! I don't want to say this. Why? This is so weird. Okay, so I'm guessing that Renji is straight. And very, I would say homophobic. I'll take you hard as many times as I like, and when I'm done, you'll never be able to forget me. Hey, Ronta whispered to Haruhiro. When he says he'll take him, I'm pretty sure he means it in a different way. Yeah, I have a feeling. Yes, you're right. What way? Braze asked, Ronta with a blank look. Are you sheltered, or are you just not reading the room here? Huh? Well, like putting something in a place where things are supposed to come out of. Basically, how do I say this? Hey, Haruhiro, don't look at me, get you out of this. You've dug this hole, get out of it by yourself. You're cold, man. You got a kindness deficiency. You're at the absolute zero of human kindness. No, he just doesn't want to get himself involved in this. Well, anyway, Kikawa the Playboy got between Renji and Bree-chan. It's our first meeting. There are bound to be misunderstandings. Let's settle this peacefully. Let's try to get along and be cheery, okay? Okay? In deference to my good looks? Your good looks? Renji glared at Kikawa and snorted derisively as he let go of the knife. Bree-chan pulled back his knife, wiping the blood from it with a rag. Looks like we have a few reckless ones here. 8 men, 4 women. There aren't quite enough women, but I prefer it that way, and men are more likely to be useful in battle. Anyway, so it's no problem. I mean, hello? Did the word army not catch you guys? Hello? Minato cocked an eyebrow. In battle? Right, Bree-chan said with a smile. It was pretty creepy, frankly. Useful in battle. This is a volunteer soldier office, Minato said, looking down. So does that mean we're becoming volunteer soldiers or something? Oh my, Bree-chan clapped. You've got some promise too. That's exactly it. You're all going to be volunteer soldiers. You do have some freedom to decide, though, you know. Master choice, Haruhiro said, slapping Ranta on the back. You're up. Oh, I am, aren't I? Aren't I? All of you can choose, Bree-chan said, lifting up his index finger and wiggling it around. You can accept my offer or reject it. The offer is to join our Red Moon Volunteer Soldier Corps as part of the Alternate Frontier Army. Well, you'll be starting as trainees, aiming to become fully fledged volunteer soldiers. Volunteer soldiers, said Flashy with a frightened look on her face. What do they even do? They fight, Bree-chan said with a wave of his hand, looking like he wanted to add a "you silly goose" afterward. Here in the Borderlands, there are races that are hostile to us humans, as well as lots and lots of monsters. Oh, please tell me there is not a, issue like in Goblin Slayer, or else the girls are going to be in trouble. The Frontier Army's duty is to exterminate them and secure the frontier, but to be honest, it's not an easy job. As a matter of fact, the Frontier Army has its hands full just maintaining its frontline base in Alterna. So that's where our Volunteer Soldier Corps comes in. So basically, Glasses adjusted the position of his glasses with the middle finger of his right hand. So essentially the where you push the bridge of your glasses up on your nose. While the regular forces protect the town, the Volunteer Soldier Corps strikes out to slay hostile races and monsters. Is that it? To put it simply, yes. Bree-chan said, spreading his hands like a flower. He may have thought it looked cute, but it was pretty creepy. Though, that said, it isn't like the Frontier Army is purely defensive, you know? There are times when they launch expeditionary forces to assault the strongholds of hostile races. It's just that large-scale military operations have their limitations. With supply logistics and whatnot, lots of things need to be thought out in advance, after all. Volunteer soldiers aren't like that. Kakao was following along with exaggerated nods, like, how are they different? We volunteer soldiers, Bree-chan began, bringing his hands together and wiggling the tips of his fingers, appear suddenly and unexpectedly, infiltrating enemy territory left and right, surveying, causing confusion, and finding ways to weaken opposing forces. Though we cooperate with the main force, we very rarely engage in organized operations. Most volunteer soldiers act alone or in small parties of 3 to 6 people, I would think. Anyway, we use our own individual skills and judgment to gather intel and strike the enemy. That is the way the Volunteer Soldier Corps Red Moon works. There's the problem, though. You guys are trainees, which means you guys have no idea of your skills, your abilities, or anything of the sort. This could be fun. And? Renji asked, flexing the fingers of his right hand. There was no blood dripping from it. The bleeding had already stopped. What happens if I turn down your offer? Nothing, really, you know. Bree-chan tilted his head and shook his waist a little. Was he fooling around? Perhaps he was fooling around and threatening them at the same time. It was pretty scary after all. I already told you, you have your room to decide. You can choose. If you don't want to be a volunteer soldier, you're welcome to leave right now and never come back. But then you'd be left on your own and have no idea how anything works. No idea what the money system is, no idea what's okay and what's taboo. Or, you know, the laws, essentially, here. Ranta said, scratching at his curly hair. Maybe I'll pass then. I don't really get it, but, you know, I'm fundamentally a pacifist and all. Fine. Bye then. Take care. Yeah, you take care too, Bree-chan. Ranta turned around, walked toward the exit, then stopped. Hold on. But once I leave here, what am I supposed to do? That's what they're saying. You either stay and help out and figure out how things work in this world, or you leave and you're essentially left to your own devices and have to struggle to figure out what the frick is going on here. I can't take responsibility for you after that, Bree-chan laughed. If you aren't joining the Corps, you're free to do as you please. Those of you who become volunteer soldiers, trainees, will each receive 10 silver coins. 10 silver. That will be enough for you to live on for the time being. I think. Silver coins? Minato's eyes widened and began fishing through his pockets. Oh yeah, money. Haruhiro touched his hips and back pockets too. They were empty. He had nothing on him, which of course meant he was penniless. Of course. A part-time job, maybe. Ranta's face twitched and he hung his head. I could look for one. That's about all I can do for now. Hopefully something conveniently falls into your lap, Bree-chan said with an exaggerated shrug. But any other job you find will come with its own troubles, you know. Even if you luck into someone willing to hire you, they'll pay you barely anything, and you'll generally start out doing grueling menial tasks or looking after the owner or master's personal needs. Ah, Kikawa said, slapping his forehead. It's a tough world, man. I don't know what to say. Do we have to, just go with the flow here? I do believe I told you. Flow or no flow, the ones to decide whether you join or not are, Bree-chan pointed at each of them, you yourselves. Renji took a deep breath. Be specific. What do we need to do first? Oh, Renji, don't disappoint me. Weren't you listening? Use your own individual skills and judgment to gather intel and strike the enemy. That's the volunteer soldier way. So, as trainees, we need to search and think for ourselves too then. That's right, Bree-chan nodded and began lining something up on the counter. Reddish coin-like objects and little leather pouches. 12 sets in total. Bree-chan held one of the coin-like objects which had a crescent moon on it between his fingers. This badge identifies the holder as a trainee. It's known as a trainee badge. As such, it'll be proof of your status as a volunteer soldier trainee. If you take one, don't lose it. Well, not that carrying it will do much for you either, though once you buy your core badges from me with 20 silver and become a full member of the Volunteer Soldier Corps, that one will have some perks. Hold on, Buzzcut said in an agitated tone. He wants to pay you for status? Yes, is that a problem? I don't like it. Say what you like, but without money you can't eat, and you can't clothe yourself, you can't do anything. What choice do you have? You can go die in a ditch if you prefer. Renji laughed a little at that one. Even in hell, money matters, huh? Hell? Bree-chan tilted his head to the side quizzically. Well, that's about right. Anyway, I know this is odd to say after telling you to figure things out yourselves, but I would think your first goal should be to buy a core badge and become a volunteer soldier. I mean, dude, you do realize they have no clue where they are, where they came from, only know their names, they don't even know their skills, or what they're good at or anything, so what the freak are they supposed to do? Fair enough. Renji took a trainee badge and leather pouch. I don't know about this volunteer soldier business or whatever, but I'll do it. We'll talk after that. After Renji, Buzzcut took a trainee badge and leather pouch. A little bit after him were Flashy, Minato, and Glasses. Kakawa said, okay then, I'm getting in on this too, and went to take 2 pouches only to have his hand slapped by Bree. Yeah, you're only getting 1. There wasn't much of a choice, but why do this? To get money? Or in other words, to stay alive, maybe. If that was why, then he supposed he had to. It was unavoidable, but he still had a bad feeling about this. Shihoru, Braids, and Tiny all seemed hesitant. Ronta and the big guy, Moguzo, hadn't decided yet either. Bree-chan turned his pale blue eyes toward them. What about you? I don't know. Ronta walked toward the counter, mumbling to himself. I feel like I'm about to get screwed here. I got a vaguely bad feeling about all this. Braids followed behind Ronta. Where there's a will, there's a way, they say. No, Haruhiro shook his head. I don't think anybody says will, or way. I think it's more is there's a will, there's a way. Oh? Braids turned back, her hand outstretched toward the badge and pouch. They don't? Yume always said it with will, and way. Who's Yume? You learned it wrong then. It's just where there's a will, there's a way. Oh, but it sounds cuter with will, and way. Yume thinks cute is important too. It definitely did sound cuter that way. Braids, whose name was apparently Yume. Oh, she talks in the third person. Okay. I thought she was talking about somebody else she knew named Yume. Apparently Yume giggled with genuine glee. Isn't it though? While they'd been bantering, Tiny had taken a badge and pouch. Moguzo, Shihoru, and Haruhiro were the only ones left. Not wanting to be last, Haruhiro grabbed a badge and pouch. While he was opening his pouch to confirm there were 10 tiny silver coins inside, Moguzo unhurriedly came in and took a trainee badge and pouch. Shihoru was the last to do so. Congratulations, Bree-chan said, smiling and clapping. Now all of you are volunteer soldier trainees. Work hard and learn to stand on your own quickly. Once you're proper volunteer soldiers, I wouldn't be averse to giving you some advice. And suddenly, hey! I saw Buzzcut was now flat on his backside on the floor. It had happened in an instant, so they couldn't be sure. Maybe Renji had punched Buzzcut? Punched him? Why would he have done that? Get up, Renji said with a blank expression. You jerk, Buzzcut shouted and tried to get up, only for Renji to immediately kick him, sending him sprawling across the floor. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, what's wrong? Get up. What's your problem, you ass? From the first time I saw you, I wondered which of us was stronger. It's time for me to show you the answer. Get up. Damn it! Renji was going to strike as soon as Buzzcut tried to spring up. Since it was obvious, even to a bystander like Haruhiro, Buzzcut just needed to avoid it. Well, Buzzcut did try to dodge it, but Renji moved ahead of him where he was going and punched him, kicked him, then grabbed him by the ear and pulled. Ow! As Buzzcut let out a scream of pain, he kneed him hard in the solar plexus. Who did that? Did Buzzcut knee him or did Renji knee him? Not just once, again and again. Okay, no, I think Renji did it. After that, Renji took Buzzcut's head in both hands. He swung his own head back and gave him a ow! A headbutt. There was a loud thud and Buzzcut slumped down and fell to one knee. You've got a hard head, Renji said, rubbing his forehead with one finger. It had gone red and was bleeding a little. Tell me your name. Buzzcut kept his hands off the floor, putting them on his knee for support instead. He may have been bearing the pain out of a stubborn unwillingness to crawl. It's Ron. Damn, you're strong. You're pretty tough yourself. Come with me, Ron. Yeah, I'll stick with you for now. Good, now, who else? Renji looked around the office, stopping on Minato. Uh-oh. Minato reacted to Renji's glance with a narrowing of his eyes. Renji moved right on, looking away from Minato to Glasses. You look like you could be useful. Come with me. Glasses crossed his arms and blinked a couple times in surprise, then adjusting the position of his glasses with the middle... What the... Yeah, it's the... Yeah, that's why I assume he's doing. He's pushing his glasses like you see people do with glasses in the shows. He gave a curt nod. Sure, I'm Adachi. It's a pleasure, Renji. Renji responded by raising one side of his mouth into a smirk, then turned his eyes on Haruhiro. Uh-oh. Huh? Maybe he wants me too? Thought Haruhiro surprised and somewhat delighted. After all, Renji looked muscular, and he had demonstrated he was strong enough to easily take down Ron. He was a man of action. He could think on his feet, too. He was scary and seemed hard to get along with, but if Haruhiro could get past that, Renji was definitely reliable. If Renji was willing to take him along, it would probably make his life easy from here out. I wouldn't say easy. He couldn't deny that he felt that way, but those feelings soon shriveled up and died, because Renji looked elsewhere. He'd been ignored. You there, Chibi. I called her Chibi, that's cute. The girl who was tiniest among the 12 of them had a tiny voice too. Renji said come and gestured for her to follow. Why, Tiny? We haven't seen what she can do, so... Chibi-chan may have been staring off into space. She tottered over in his direction and looked up at Renji. Renji patted Chibi-chan on the head. Oh, I guess maybe he has a soft spot for women? Maybe? Or maybe she looks like a child to him? I don't know. You look like you'll be useful. Come along. Chibi-chan said aye and nodded. Her face flushed red. There was something about her that resembled a boiled egg. More than her looks, it was her little gestures and overall essence that lent her a mascot-like adorableness. But useful? Haruhiro didn't know about that. And wait, had Renji decided Chibi-chan to be more useful than him? He didn't know whether to feel humiliated or just sad. We're going. Renji gestured through the office door with his chin. As Ron, Adachi, Chibi-chan, and Renji began to walk away, Flash shouted, Wait! Take me too! Renji let out a short sigh. I don't need any useless luggage. I'll do anything, Flash said, clinging to Renji. I'm Sasa. Please, absolutely anything, I'll do it. Absolutely anything, huh? Renji said, shoving Sasa away. Don't forget those words. Yeah, I won't. And don't touch me. Gotcha. Good, you come too. I'm guessing that she's gonna be offering some... to take her along, essentially. Thanks, Renji. Sasa opened the door, and Renji and his followers walked out. Sasa was the last to leave. When the door closed, the 7 people remaining looked defeated like they'd lost the lottery. Ah, Kakawa said, grimacing and scratching his head. Wish I could have gotten on Team Renji, too. Between Renji and Ron, they're probably unbeatable in a fight. Not unbeatable. They look strong, but I doubt they're unbeatable. At least not in comparison to probably other people. Adachi looked smart, Chibi-chan's cute as a button, and Sasa was smoking hot. Man, I'm so jealous, but well, them's the breaks. I'm off to gather info. Toodles! Before he could say anything, Kikawa had left the office. Haruhiro exchanged glances with Shihoru. Shihoru hung her head in shame. Well, I'm off too, said Minato, heading for the exit. I won't learn anything staying here, so I'm going outside to look around. See you all later. Yeah, see ya. As Haruhiro was waving goodbye to Minato, it occurred to him that maybe he should tag along. Minato was approachable, unlike Renji. He seemed good-natured and was probably reliable. But even though he couldn't care less about Ronta, what about Shihoru and Yume do? What would Shihoru and Yume do? Moguzo was here too, right? If they all went together, that would solve the problem, except by the time Haruhiro figured that out, Minato was no longer in the office. But he was sure he was still not too late. Listen, us staying here really won't help, so let's all go after Minato and... Haruhiro only got that far before the door opened. Perhaps it's Minato coming back? But it wasn't. It was another man who had entered the office. He wore an outfit made out of hide, a cap with a feather on it, and had a bow and arrow slung over his back. He looked a few years older than Haruhiro and the others. The man had eyes like a fox and a crooked mouth. Hey, Chief. Okay, hold on. I'm going to end this off here. I'll see you guys in the next video.